So with recent updates to Rust, specifically with the new cave system, caves now appear to be much stronger. With the new cave update as well as the ladder twig update, it seems that caves are now the new meta in base building, and here's why. So here, check it out. What do you see? The only thing you should see is a door, a few lanterns, a foundation, and a door frame. And that's all the raiders will see as well. They're not going to know what's inside. For all he knows, there could be just a ton of double layers inside, or it could just be a doorway and there's a few boxes behind it. Which is an amazing factor in cave bases, because the raiders never going to know how much C4 they need to bring. A little downfall to cave bases is how isolated they are. Compared to ground bases, if you're building in a cave, it'll take around 30 seconds to get to your base, which can be quite tedious in my opinion. But this can also be your advantage because not many raiders are willing to go down underground exploring just to find bases. To counter cave bases being so slow to enter, you could just find a well which is usually close to the surface, so not too hard, jumping down, falling to your death, killing yourself, and spawning in a bag at your base. Then you could just simply run over and grab your loot at the well. And for a quick exit, you could just use the well as a little elevator lift. So for today's cave base build, we're going to be building in this free build room that has 2 entrances to it. So in this room, you could pretty much just build whatever you want. There's 2 entry points as well, so you're not confined to one entrance. So before I give you guys a tour, let's go over a few basic facts. This base is generally a cheap base, costing you 33,000 stone, 5,000 wood, and 5,500 metal frags. Due to the base being decently pricey, it's of course going to be intended for around 4 players. Another interesting fact is it's actually going to be 9 walls minimum to get to the main loot storage, and once again they don't even know where the main loot storage is, so it's of course going to be more, because once again, element of surprise within the caves. So since we're done with the stats, let's go ahead and give you guys a tour.
I guess that's what I love most about it. She isn't just one thing, so much larger than that.
Hey, how's it going everybody? Taka from Taka Tuesday here, and today I'm bringing you a cave base design. I haven't actually done one of these cave base builds on camera, so this is going to be a little first time for you guys. Front door is always going to be armored, that way we can use the hatch to look outside for door campers. Obviously, since we're in a cave, not many door campers will occur, but it can still happen. For simplicity's sake, all the remaining doors are going to be armored. Obviously, if you can't afford armored doors, sheet metal doors work as well. We have a simple double layer right here. You can actually fit stashes in between the double layers to hide some loot, but the double layer pretty much just adds more layers to our base. A few more doors in, we're not really directly in the center just yet, but to our left is the center, so pop, behind the door is our cupboard. Not that we actually really need a cupboard in this space, it only prevents people from griefing us if they decide to blow in. On the side that we came in from is a locker room, and on the other side is going to be our furnace slash smelting room. So we have a few furnaces scattered around this room, as well as a campfire and a refrigerator for storing some food. Behind the cell gate we have 4 small furnaces, and if we close this, it's a little open area, that way we can just fit furnaces back here, and it kind of looks cool. So right above me we have 4 large boxes, that way we can store some resources. I recommend putting 50% of your resources here, that way we can split off our loot throughout the base. A little to-do list right there, I created it just for fun. Let's head back into our center room, which has a cupboard and a few bags for us to spawn in. And on the other side is once again our locker room, which has 2 lockers and 3 sleeping bags. There's more sleeping bags upstairs, so if you plan on having more people. Lockers are pretty self-explanatory, you spawn in and you can gear up quickly. Like the furnace room, we have a side with a separate entrance. This time we're going to be using armored double doors, which of course can be replaced with sheet metal double doors depending on how much high qual you have. And as you see, we have a double layer right here. A box prevents us from falling through the crack, and will eventually lead to this chain link fence. Behind this chain link fence is what I like to call the vault. I'm going to be straight honest, it definitely suits its really cool name. So like vaults in real life, this thing is going to be super hard to get into. It will take a minimum of 9 walls to get into this vault. The reason for this is because it's isolated from the remaining parts of the base. So they'll pretty much have to blow to the center and then blow into the vault. Obviously the raider's not going to know which side the vault is going to be on, so it's going to be a lot more than 9 walls. But in the vault you're going to store a lot of your rare items such as C4, rockets, and other things like that. We have another hard to raid spot kinda like the vault, but it's in a different spot. We'll of course be checking it out in a second. So behind this armored door that we haven't quite touched yet, we have ourselves a ladder room, which will lead up to our top floors. So we have a second floor and a third floor, which the third floor I'll get to in a second, but to start it off, on the second floor is going to be our main loot room. So of course our main loot room is going to have the most amount of chests compared to any other room. So if you were to build this base, I bet you guys would be in this room the most. So to start it off, we have ourselves a locker right here, and of course a repair bench right there. On the other side, we pretty much have the same thing, except for it's a research table. We have 6 boxes and 1 small box here, and another 6 boxes right here. In your main loot room, I don't recommend that you store a lot of your C4 in here, because of course we have the vault and the harder to raid loot room. We also have bags on the floor, so if you wanted to spawn in here, you can. Here's our second ladder room, which only leads up to our second floor and not our third floor. Obviously, we have to go over to our original ladder room in order to get up to our third floor, so we're going to do so now. This is what I like to call the harder to raid loot room. So original, right? So what makes this loot room harder to raid than the normal loot room is that only one of 2 ladder rooms leads up to this loot room. So if the raider decided to use the other ladder room to raid, they're pretty much never going to find this loot room. So if I were you, like the vault, I'd probably put some rare items in here like C4 and rockets. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it for the base tour. If any of you are enjoying so far, it would be much appreciated if you would drop a like, because it helps out a ton. But anyways, let's show you guys how to build it. So to start the build off, we're going to have to find a cave to build in. The cave I'm building in has an entrance right next to this gaping hole right here. There's also 2 more entrances which have wood boardings on them. To be honest with you, I don't think the caves are procedurally generated, so you might find the same cave on your server. From there, go down until you can find yourself your build spot. So the cave I'm building in has 4 possible build spots in the same general area. So the first one right here is obviously going to be the one that we're building in today. We also have this building spot, which is much smaller than the one we're going to be building in. And we have 2 smaller ones like the one right here. So if you ever wanted to build an underground city, you can. So to start the build off, you're going to pick an entrance. Doesn't matter which entrance you pick, just pick one, and you're going to go behind the pegs right here, and you're going to place a triangle foundation like so. From there, you're going to go on top of the triangle, and make sure you can place 2 triangles right here. As you see, I can't place a triangle there, so I'm going to readjust. As you see, I finally got it right this time, so there we go. Once done, on the rightmost triangle, you're going to place 4 squares like so. Then you're going to place 3 triangles to make another trapezoid. Once the triangle foundations are placed, go ahead and remove the 4 square foundations. Then upgrade the foundations to stone and implement a doorway and a door. Include a sheet metal door and a code lock. If not, just use a normal door and a lock. As you see, you do not need to place a cupboard because they can't build anyways because it's outside the build zone. Now we are going to expand our foundations by implementing 2 square foundations and a triangle foundation on the end. Remove the square foundations and build back in until you can get yourself a double layer. Then put as many triangle foundations as you can in a row, so I can only fit about 5, which is going to be the average amount. As you see, I was able to fit 5, which is the amount you want. From there, go to the leftmost triangle foundation and build a diagonal line to the stone foundations on the opposite side. Once again, try to fit as many foundations in a row as possible for the double layer. Then just fill in all the foundations like so. Now your foundation plan so far should look something like this. As you see, once you get this shape, we have this larger pocket here and this smaller pocket over here. On the smaller pocket, try to see if you can fit any extra foundations. So one right here would work. And since we placed a foundation here, we're just going to place it on the other side just for simplicity's sake. It also will add more protection for when we set up our vault. Another reason why we're setting up foundations here is just because when we set up our honeycomb, we don't want somebody jumping through this gap right here. So make sure you implement foundations right there. Just to add more protection, we're going to add another triangle foundation like so. And of course, the same thing on the other side. Now when you're ready, go ahead and upgrade your foundations to stone or sheet metal. I'm personally going to upgrade it to sheet metal because sheet metal takes much longer to decay. So So this next step is to pretty much just set up the double layer to your vault. Obviously I'm going to be changing this later, so I do recommend that you watch the entire base build before you start building. So this next step is going to be setting up the cupboard. You're going to locate your center. These two triangles are my center, so what you're going to do is you're going to get two door frames and you're going to place it on opposite sides, so one right there and another one right there. Then I'll go ahead and upgrade them to stone. Then place two walls, upgrade them to stone, and of course place in sheet metal roofs and sheet metal doors. Now on the smaller pocket, what you're going to do is you're going to place 4 small furnaces. That way we can cook up some metal frags to help support the sheet metal flooring and foundations. Now we're going to start working on our honeycomb doorways. So on the side where the ceiling's a little bit higher, what you're going to do is you're going to place 2 doorways like so. Then the rest are going to be walls just like normal honeycomb, and then you're going to build it up and place sheet metal floors in the process. Then of course just do it for the other side. Now for these 2 extra triangles that we added on this one side, we're just going to place walls here as if it was just honeycomb. So go ahead and do so and build it up to the roof. Notice how the walls do not go all the way up to the ceiling of the cave. Up there in that little pocket is where our actual hard to raid loot room is going to go, so the 3rd floor pretty much. So now we're going to isolate the furnace room off. You're going to place a double door on the right side of this triangle, and then a normal wall right here. Make sure it's hard side, that way nobody can pick into your furnace room, because once again we're going to be storing some resources in this room as well. We'll also be using a cell gate just for looks. Now head to the other side and do the exact same thing, except for this time we're going to be using double doors. So the original double stack that I used in the base tour is something like this. You place a square, a triangle, and then you build back into a triangle just to make a double layer. You should have 4 triangles, but sadly I can't place another triangle there, so I'm going to have to think of something else. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to place another square there, but instead of putting the triangle in the front, I'm going to put it on its side. Then I'm going to build back in one triangle, make a little C shape, and then remove the excess triangles. That way we can still have a double layer, but it's just a little smaller. Now we are to start placing in the remaining doorways. You're going to place a doorway right here, a wall right here, and 2 walls right above that. And of course, do the same thing on the other side. As you see, quite easy to go through both doorways. Now if there's any extra walls you need to place in to completely isolate your center, go ahead and do so. Once you're done isolating the center bit, what you're going to do is you're going to hop on top of your cupboard room, Then head over to where your doorways are and you're going to place 2 more door frames like so. So we're going to place one here and one there. Upgrade them to stone, and then you're just going to fill this entire line with just honeycomb. Of course, make room for your ladder room. So you're going to place another wall right here, and leave this wall clear so we can put a door there. That way that's our ladder room, and do the same thing for the other side. Doorway on your ladder room, same thing on the other side. Instead of making a trip all the way around, I recommend just putting a ladder up center, that way you can just climb over. Then from there, just go ahead and place sheet metal flooring on every single spot except for where you're supposed to put your ladders. And of course I'm going to put a ladder in here so we can get up to our second floor, and in this room right here you can go ahead and just fill in your sheet metal doors and put in all your furnaces and lockers. To begin our second floor, let's isolate off our ladder room. Place a normal door frame right there, and a wall like so. Make sure it's soft side facing you. And of course, put a sheet metal door or an armored door. Then just do the same exact thing to the other side. Now the remainder of this floor is just me setting up a bunch of boxes and utility structures. I don't feel the need to commentate over this process, so I'm going to speed up the video. If you want to learn how I did it, you can go ahead and slow down the video with the gear icon on the bottom right. Anyways, I'll see you guys in a second.
And if you don't know, now you know, nigga.
So to begin our third floor, we of course have to place down a ladder to get up there in the first place, otherwise, you know, there'd be no point of having a third floor. But anyways, once you're up here, you're going to try to fit as many sheet metal triangles as possible. So what I do is I'm just going to place a ton of triangles over the double layers and see if I can do it. So obviously I can't place one there, but I can place one there, and I can place more like so. That way we can get kind of a semicircle, and we can go ahead and wall off the rest, that way nobody can get up here. And we could just upgrade everything to stone and sheet metal. Floors being sheet metal and walls being stone. The rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. All you gotta do is just place a bunch of boxes down, and yeah. And that's pretty much it. So I'm sorry guys that my upload schedule hasn't been really good lately. My last base build was like, what, 10 days ago, and I usually do mine weekly, but besides the point, I'm going to try to upload a little more, guys. Sorry about that. I want to push more content out and be more diverse with my YouTube channel. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and for heaven's sake, guys, keep it classy.